everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And I would like to welcome Geeta and Jordi for making the time at this panel. So today we're going to be talking about women in tech and the challenges that they face. Just for clarification, Geeta is from Callis Ventures. She's a managing partner. So we're very sorry for that mistake, but yeah, and let's get started. So I'm going to start with a super generic question, but I think it's very important that we highlight what VCs and women founders basically face in the African ecosystem. So I would want you to highlight some of the unique challenges that as VCs you're facing, as well as what other, let's say, women founders are facing, and what kind of role can investors actually play in the ecosystem, making sure that they, removing any obstacles that they encounter. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can start. Yeah, so I've heard that you have a good use case to talk about. I don't have any woman-led startup in my portfolio, but when we started investing, so I represent a Moroccan VC fund, and the name of the fund is Callis Ventures. And for those who might recognize what Callis means, it means like it's a goddess. And so we were supposed to invest in African women. And then when we started investigating the market, we just figured out that we didn't have enough deal flow to invest in. And as our LPs weren't DFIs, so we had to more focus on the returns than on impact that we could have by investing in very early stage startups led by women. So yeah, the first point is that, I think that from what I have seen, of course, there are some startups that are fantastic, doing incredible work, and that are led by women founders who were able to make it until like seed stage, Series A, and above. But there are also others that were more shy at the beginning. So, for example, I had some use cases where I was meeting, like, for example, men, like startups led by men or startups led by women at the same time, and they were at the same stage in terms of like in terms of project, but the men like called the day after saying, hey, we know that it's just an idea, but we think that it's the right time for us to fundraise, and we're ready to do it, and that's our plan, and we were willing to take the risk. When the women, like, and that's a real use case that I'm giving, like they just called me the day after saying, hey, you know what, we think that we should maybe wait a little bit, generate more revenues and do more before finding before raising. So I think that the first point for me is women entrepreneurs, from what I've seen, need to be more confident about their fundraising, and that's normal. I mean, whether men or women both have that problem at the beginning of their journey. They both lack of confidence. Let's say they are at the same stage. I mean, I'm not saying that women are less confident, but it's just that at a certain level, I think that men, for certain reasons, are able to be more confident about what they are making than women. That's the first statement, and we can talk after about other use cases that I have seen and that have succeeded as women-led startups.
I think that's an excellent point that you've raised. I think as women, we really do tend to do a disservice to ourselves where we're not very confident. Although a lot of the startups that I'm meeting, which are women-led, are actually impacting on a social level, and they have excellent ideas. So they're really identifying opportunities in the market and coming up with very innovative ideas. And so I would want to take that point that you've raised and then actually ask Jordi that how are you then identifying and supporting promising women-led startups in the African ecosystem? Since you've invested in 14 startups since 2021, I would love to know, I think all of us would love to know a success case and how you were able to get them to where they are now. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the question. And perhaps to start, my name is Jordi. I'm Senior Investment Associate at Octera Capital, which is a female-led fund based in Lagos, out of Nigeria. So we are an early stage VC fund investing from the proceed to the Series A. Perhaps just taking also a little bit about what Rita said, is that I want also to speak about the bias that we think that we have. A lot of people are saying that there is not enough pipeline. I can say that is not true. Out of all the pitch deck that we received, 1/3 of them are from female-led or co-led startups, so we cannot hide between that, saying that there is no pipeline. The other one that we are still and we still need to fight is, of course, like we all have subjective bias around it, so it's also things that we need to fight. It's very funny because when we start, let's say, investing in companies, we are selecting the best founders, and it seems that when we start to invest, we just realize one day that we invested in 5 startups that were led, not co-led, by female. We also start to look a little bit more at the pipeline and the deal flow that we're receiving, and also at the fact that, you know, we do think that we need to be more intentional about it. So it's really about being intentional about it. It's also, and to be honest, it's also, so I have a background in risk management, and it's proved that women are much more better at managing money and better at governance. So I will say on this also, I'm trying to de-risk the investment. But I will say that there is a lot of success stories, a lot, like speaking just about Nigeria, so I will speak perhaps about one of our portfolio companies. So it's a health tech company. So the job of this company is to digitalize the value chain of the hospitals. So also digitalize the value chain, but also taking care of the delivery of blood and oxygens. So it's really a structural problem, and a problem that exists everywhere in the continent. It's a very successful startup, to be honest. I remember that, and it's a little bit sad, but we had like some, like a train accident in Nigeria. I believe it's 1 year ago. They were the startup that took care of everything on the operations, so blood delivery and everything. This is the type of success story that we want a little bit more. We want a little bit more people to see that it exists, and that even though I don't think that we miss female founders, it's just that we don't have enough, let's say, startups led by female, because we are in Africa, so it's much more women that are entrepreneurs. So we need to push that a little bit and to be also very intentional about it.
Yeah, I think you know, really great answer in terms of, you know, how as we go out into the work environment, we do face with a lot of subjective bias. And I really like the point that you raised in terms of women need to be placed more in leadership roles, and that we have to push them and encourage them to you know, bring their idea up front, and how we could essentially mentor them as well, because I think that's lacking a lot in the ecosystem. And so maybe a question that we could then bring in that case is, for instance, you know, what strategies can women entrepreneurs employ to even attract investment and even build strong relationships with the investors in the ecosystem? I would love to know more about that.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay. Actually, I was stuck in the traffic just behind the venue. And I just discovered that I can start a career of policeman, because trust me, if I didn't solve it, I would stay for 1 hour long. So sorry for the delay. Actually, my name is Ahmed. I'm head of programs within BetaCube. BetaCube is a venture studio that was launched in Tunisia in 2020, but became Pan-African in just 2 years after launch. So what is a venture studio? Is an organization that supports idea stage entrepreneurs. We support them by giving them access to full-time people who are tech, designers, tech people, experts in finance, legal, etc. And we support them in a program of 12 months until they reach product market fit. So we proved our concept in Tunisia through a pipeline of 12 startups. One of them actually is Pixie Motors, and Wafa was one of our founders that we supported. And then we started our operation in Sub-Saharan Africa by launching a program that is called Take African Women. Actually, it's called TAO, and it's targeting female-led startups in Africa. Mainly, we started with Tunisia, Ethiopia, Senegal, and Tanzania. We supported 74 women founders in these countries at the stage. We supported them through a 4-month program until they reached investment readiness stage, in which they have developed their MVP, their market. They validated the market, and now they are. We also supported them with some funding that allowed them to go to the next level. And this program was actually supported by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. So to go back to your question regarding the strategies and let's say what we can do to support female entrepreneurship, from our experience, actually, we noticed that women founders are more concerned about women problems than other startups who are maybe launched by mixed or by men-led startups. For example, when you look at our pipeline of startups that we supported in sub-Saharan Africa, we find a lot of health tech, you find a lot of education, and you find a lot of ideas around child care, babysitting, sexual and health, reproduction, support, and these kind of ideas. However, when you look at other, maybe our experience in supporting mixed startups, generally we found that the ideas are more business oriented or maybe market oriented than focused on female entrepreneurship. So actually this is not only our female oriented program, we have several female oriented programs, and even for the other programs that are open, we tend to apply a 50% let's say representation of both gender. Of course, quality comes first, and then gender. We are not. I would like to say that we are not guaranteeing the presence of men, women, or male, but what we are trying to do is be sure that the startup applies to the quality that we have, and then we try to do a mix of gender. Regarding the strategies, I mean, DFIs maybe play here a big role in supporting female fund managers who are female, because statistics show that when female are represented in the decision-making positions, they tend to attract more women as entrepreneurs, and also they tend to invest more money in female-led startups than male-led startups. So this is something that we can do to support female entrepreneurship. The second thing is to launch more female-led program, female-led funds, to include more diversity when recruiting, because also sometimes the selection of the entrepreneurs or of the founders that is done by the associate or by the investment managers, it differs if that person is a woman or a man. I mean, a woman sometimes attracts more female founders than a man, and sometimes when you present or when we are doing the due diligence, maybe the fact that you don't have a bias, a gender bias, or you are having a gender lens investment in your eyes, I mean, this facilitates a lot the process of decision, and this also guarantees that there are more women in the pipeline. Statistics also show that 16% only of female entrepreneurship, let's say in Africa, 16% only are startups led by women. So it is low, and only 15% of the funding gets to, or 16% also go to startups that are led by women only. So I would leave the floor to my colleagues also to answer.
Do you want to add something?
No.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for sharing with us like what the incubator does and all the efforts that are made by you to support women in the ecosystem. And I think that this probably has an impact, because I've seen lots of startups made and here in Tunisia that were led by women. So that's great. Coming back to what Jordi said, yeah, I agree with you, Jordi, that there are women out there, like the deal flow exists, but again, is it a qualitative deal flow that reflects? I mean, are we talking about SMEs or about startups? Because I know that the African continent has the highest rate of women entrepreneurs in the world, but most of them are SMEs. And so the problem isn't having women that can, decide to be entrepreneurs instead of working as employees, I think that they have the willingness and they have the power to stand and start an entrepreneurial journey. But I think that sometimes they lack of resources to convert from an SME to a tech startup. And I think that this brings us to today's topic, which is women in tech. And I think that if we can have more women that are trained in technology, this will give them enough resources to not only have great ideas for impact. For example, we see a lot of women working to help craftsmen, working to help, to solve some climate problems that we have today. But if they have the skills and necessary skills to make it happen, I think that we will see more startups in tech than today. I mean, women in tech, sorry, than today. And yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, firstly, thank you, Ahmed, for bringing up the fact that you have programs, right, to upscale women. And I think that's a very important point that Geeta mentioned about the fact that women, a lot of the women that we're seeing do have the background, but they just don't have the necessary access to get what they want, and we need to bridge that gap. And so, leading into that a lot more, how could then the three actually collaborate, right? So there's investors, there's obviously startups, and there's also for basically other types of stakeholders. How can those three collaborate? How can we make a triage in such a way that we can bridge the gap? Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question, because I believe that there is a lot of, let's say, way of doing that. First is to my colleague VCs hire more women. I will give you an example. I'm currently looking for an intern, and perhaps, I mean, it was like 50-50. It was not even on purpose, like on the interviews that I did. But out of them, I believe 4 out of 5 spoke to me about the fact that we are a women-led fund. And I know that it counts to have like role model and people that you can see and identify to. So first, I will encourage people to perhaps also hire a little bit more women in their fund. Secondly is to invest more, and I don't agree, Hamed, with what you said. I mean, in our portfolio, for example, we have a company that designed a sandbox for fintechs and central banks. It's led when fund. We have a company in logistics that it's a woman CEO. So it's not really, I don't think that it's either white or either black in that case. And perhaps also the last part is to be part of much more initiatives and trying to really bring a little bit more education and knowledge. And I believe that this is not just only the job of VCs, it's the job also of the different, let's say, stakeholders to do that. So of course there is like mentorships, there is grant, there is different things that we can do so that we can be in a position to say that, okay, now it's 50-50 deal flow that we have, and we also have very solid tech female founders. So we'll see the truth if it's a problem of pipeline or if just people that are not intentional about it.
And to add something, maybe like, because as you know, like we all need role models, men or women. And so when you find startups that succeeded, led by women, these women like have as an obligation, let's say, to also be role models for upcoming startups led by women, so that they can know that it's possible, you know, like they can see that even if they are like African women operating in a very complicated ecosystem, sometimes that is led by men, they can do it. They can be the ones hiring men, working with them. They can be the ones collaborating with them. So I think that we need more success stories led by women that exist. We have some in Morocco and others in the rest of Africa. And I think that these women should be aware about the fact that other women need them to be role models for them.
Absolutely. I think that's why it's very important that Jordi shared his success story, because everyone here can be inspired by it, can learn more that, okay, if women have done this, I can do that as well. And definitely we need role models. That's something that we really lack. And so I think we're out of time. Or we still have time. Yep, and so Ahmed wants to add
I
more.
just
Yeah.
want to clarify something. Maybe I was misunderstood. Actually, what I meant is that according to our experience, women founders are more concerned about solving women problems through technology or through entrepreneurship more than men. I'm not saying that women are avoiding or not innovating or are not creating startups in logistics or fintech. No, actually in our pipeline we have a fintech startup that was launched by a Tunisian woman who had more than 20 years experience at Société Générale in Paris, and she came back to Tunisia, and we supported her launch her fintech startup. It does reconciliation for asset managers. We have also another startup, agri-tech startup founded by women. Wafé is leading startup with another man in electric technology. So I don't mean that they don't do this, but I mean it's very rare that you find a startup around childcare or babysitting or sexual and health reproduction that is launched by a man alone. This is very rare, and according to our experience, also this is very rare. This is what I wanted to add.
No worries. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. So perfect. I also want to leave the floor a little bit open for the audience to take questions. But before we hand the mic, and if there's anybody asking questions, we'll give you a mic. I want to end from you guys. Like finally, like what advice would you really give to aspiring women entrepreneurs, as we have something coming up in a bit, that are looking to launch or scale their startups in the African ecosystem? What advice would you give them?
Oh, okay. The advice first is to not think that. So, okay. So as an investor, I can see that there are problems for all entrepreneurs, not just for women. So they should understand that the problems that they face are not related to the fact that they are women. The problems that they face are just related to the fact that they are entrepreneurs, and that they should be more open to talk, just come and talk to investors. Maybe it's not the right time, but that's fine. I mean, that's how you understand what we expect from you, and what are the milestones that you should reach, and what's the vision that you should have, just like a man do when he's in his early stages. So just come and talk to investors. Maybe not to invest now, and that's fine. We just want to discuss and talk. So just be less shy and do try for more. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Actually, I totally agree with Rita that women entrepreneurs' challenges is, the same as entrepreneurs in general. And actually, I saw a statistic that was shared by WAMDA, asking women entrepreneurs specifically about their challenges, and top one challenge is raising funds. It's the same thing for any entrepreneur, either it's male or female. So maybe also I would like to share something maybe also from our experiences, that when we're talking with many female entrepreneurs and asking them why they don't take initiative, many of them say that they have a fear of work-life balance, because in our society, let's say women have more jobs than men. There is a job at home and there is a job outside. However, men, unfortunately, they are not having enough, are not investing enough jobs in the at home, let's say. So they have the fear of not succeeding between both things, and finally they drop out the professional or the, let's say, the entrepreneurship side for the personal and the family side. So this is something that we should focus on, maybe by promoting more role models as women who succeeded to do this. And so my advice here for female entrepreneurs who would like to start something, you should talk to female leaders who succeeded to do something from scratch, and who succeeded to reach work-life balance with a good mental health management, etc. At that time, you can maybe be inspired and more encouraged and motivated to learn something from scratch.
Fully agree with what you said. So I feel a little bit bad to give them advice because I'm not a woman. But now I will say that I fully agree with what you said, that perhaps being a little bit more vocal, catching also some information about success stories and so on. And this one, it's much more about, I believe that it will be easier for women to succeed if men try to break a little bit the bias that we have, and trying also to, I will not say help them, but not block them, like not being obstacle of this. So I believe that it's something that we men should do a little bit more to improve diversity. And I mean, diversity is always something that is good and that will enhance and improve financial result, but not only. So this is something that I will add also.
So firstly, lovely answers. I think it's absolutely correct. So we have to be more confident. We need to understand how to get out of that fear of work-life balance, build a better support system, get inspiration from female leaders. And we need also men to basically unblock and work together, because we're all trying to solve the same problems. So before we go, yeah, I just want to know if anybody had a question in the audience. And if yes, please give the mic.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for the panel. This is my first time in Tunisia, and I feel like I've seen a lot more female founders here. I know not everyone on the panel is from Tunisia, but why do you think that is the case here? I'm assuming maybe from an education perspective, really highly educated population, including females.
Thank you for the question and welcome to Tunisia. I hope you are enjoying it, actually. Very good question. Actually, the roots of this is social and political, let's say. So after the independence, we had a leader who, let's say, was giving or trying, and he succeeded, of course, at the end, to put diversity at the table and to do equality between men and women. And so from that time, I mean, of course, through several years, but I mean, when you do at the when you look at the labor market, you find that there is equality between men and women in Tunisia. When you look at schools, you maybe find more women pupils or more students, women students more than men. So this is something that is already existing in our societies. We have a lot of powerful female organizations that have their votes, and they are very represented in society and politically. So these are the roots. So of course, at the end, we would find this representation on the entrepreneurship side. And actually, we had the first female head of government in the MENA region, or in the Arab world. Any other question, maybe from Wasim?
No, thank you. Thank you. Is that it? Okay. Okay, so we're moving on with our last part of the program, the pitching session.